Wisconsin's great. Rich Bickle has done it.
Can anyone catch NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series point leader Rich Bickle? With 11 top 5 finishes in 14 races and a commanding lead over Jack Sprague, the inevitable could be just 11 short races away. But look out, Rich. Defending series champion Ron Hornaday has won 3 in a row and is riding hot on your bumper. So get set for a road course shootout as the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series moves to the heartland of America as the quest for the championship continues. Heartland Park, Topeka, Kansas. 2.1 miles of road course. The first of 3 road courses that the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series will be challenging this year. This afternoon, it's the Lund 275. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Topeka, Kansas. I'm Eli Gold. Yes, it is quite warm again today, although maybe not quite as stifling as the last few days, but still tickling with 100-degree temperatures. That will be a storyline today. But obviously, the big story all week has been Ron Hornaday Jr. He's won 3 races in a row on this series. Can he become the first driver in series history to win 4 in succession? And should he win today, well, he would tie Mike Skinner as the winningest driver in series history. So a lot of the pre-race talk has revolved around Ron Hornaday. That was until yesterday afternoon when they ran for the Busch pole, and Joe Ruttman just pushed Hornaday's name off the front page. Joe grabbed the pole position with a strong run, and he's standing by trackside right now with Glenn Jarrett. Glenn?
Eli sitting here ready to go. His second pole of the year. He won the first race this season back in January at Disney World. Hasn't won since then. We're talking about how hot Hornaday has been. You got something for him today, Joe?
Well, if the weather has anything to do with it, we got him because we're really hot in here. So if we can relate that back to the racetrack, we're going to be tough.
Well, Joe thinks he might have something for him. And look, right here, he's the only guy I've seen so far. The little rear view mirror can keep an eye on the rest of the field. But Eli, there's some other guys back there that might have something to say about this.
There really are. A lot of road racing specialists have joined us here this weekend, and so has a darn good crew chief, Larry McReynolds, who's on the telecast as well. And with all the road racing guys here at Heartland Park, no one would be surprised if one of those names are in victory lane.
Well, there's a lot of great road racers here today. There's Boris Said, who has sat on the pole at Le Mans, won the 24-hour race at Daytona. He's been knocking on victory lane door all year in the Truck Series. There's Tony Raines, who's actually won an ASA race here in 1995. There's just a whole lot of great road racers here that will try to get to victory lane, and a lot of championship guys there on that list.
We'll talk more about that list as our day continues, but now let's inject yet another name into the mix. Mike Skinner is here on the off weekend for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. He won this race a year ago. He's the series champion from 1995. Maybe he's got to fit in the mix, Glenn.
He certainly could, Eli. Of course, and as you said, a past winner here. Comes back on an off weekend. You know, Hornaday told me that the only reason you came back was to put an end to that winning streak of his.
Nah, all those records was made to be broken, and if anybody can break it, Ron can, and I'm pulling for him. You know, if it doesn't happen today, it'll happen sometime, but we'd like to win this race in this Lumar Chevrolet, but, you know, we don't have quite the strength that some of these other guys got right here, but we're going to give it our best shot, and we're going to have some fun. We're going to go road racing.
And he likes road racing. He brought his Winston Cup crew chief, Kevin Hamlin, along with him, Eli.
Now remember, he's lamenting the fact he may not have the power as we talk here a few minutes after 2 Eastern. Don't be surprised if he's in victory lane when the day concludes. We're back with the starting lineup in a moment. Everybody again to Heartland Park in Topeka, Kansas. 81 laps of racing today. That equates to 170 miles or 275 kilometers around this racetrack that has 12 turns of varying lengths and radius. But before we talk more about the track, let's go trackside now for the words we've all been waiting for. Mark Riley of Keystone Automotive is our Grand Marshal for the Lund 275.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
And with that command, we are set to go racing here in what is the 15th of 26 races for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in 1997. Now it's time to take a look at this day's AutoZone race analysis, brought to you by the 1,600 AutoZone stores across America. The best parts in auto parts and the numbers for today's Lund Look 275, the first of 3 road course events, the others being Watkins Glen International and Sears Point International Raceway for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Who's here today? Well, let's check out the starting lineup, 34 strong. Third in points, Joe Ruttman, going for 4 in a row, Ron Hornaday. Fifth a year ago here was Jay Sauter and Mike Skinner in from the Winston Cup Series. Second in points is Jack Sprague and road racing specialist Ron Fellows. He's here. Tom Hubert in his second start in that Dana Dodge, and the former Le Mans pole winner Boris Said. On down to Dave Resendiz, who won at Sears Point a year ago, and birthday boy Rick Crawford celebrated here yesterday. The point leader in the series is Rich Bickle, and Chuck Bound, first road race since 1994. Trans Am regular Dorsey Schrader, another road racing specialist Brian Cunningham. Tony Raines, who Larry McReynolds told you won here in 1995, and for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series and the pole sitter yesterday here, Bobby Hamilton. Mike Bliss, fourth here a year ago, and Californian Bill Sedgwick. Ninth man in points, Rick Corelli, and Mike Wallace from St. Louis, Missouri. Brian Reffner, who was fourth here in an ASA race in 1995, and Kevin Harvick, second race in the 75 truck for him. Idaho's Randy Tolsma, Michigan's Bob Keselowski. Lance Norick is back, still in a Ford. They haven't shifted to a Dodge quite yet. Georgia's Tammy Jo Kirk. Stacy Compton has some good runs going. And Lou Gelati, the road racer from the SCCA World Challenge Championship. Charles Morgan's very talented road racing son, Rob Morgan, and Ohio's Terry Cook. Jimmy Hensley and Kenny Irwin, who's on a road course for the first time in 8 years. Butch Miller, he's gone to a backup truck, and Missouri's Tony Roper. There you have the 32 truck starting field for today's Lund Look 275. The first of a couple of pace laps. We'll be back in a moment. Topeka, Kansas, and Larry McReynolds, maybe one of the road circuits that a lot of the folks have never really seen before.
Well, Eli, the first 2 years here, the drivers would come off this last corner here and up the front stretch, which is actually the drag strip and the runoff area. They would make this left-hander, and then before they would go this way, which would make up the 1.8-mile course. Now, as they go through this left-hander, they will go up here to turn 2 and make a right-hander, and this makes the course 3/10 of a mile longer, which is 2.1 miles long. Now, should a driver miss his corner here and go straight, as long as he falls in position behind the truck he was running behind, there will be no penalty. Otherwise, if he makes up positions, there'll be a 30-second penalty. Also, as he comes down this straightaway toward turn 5, they're supposed to go through turn 6, turn 7 there. This area is called the Gator Pit. Now, should a driver go straight here, again, as long as he don't make up positions, there's no penalty. Should he make up a position there, though, there's a 15-second penalty.
So that's a layout and a look at a very sprawling and a fairly difficult road course here. Heartland Park, Topeka, as you ride with the Napa Chevrolet truck. Ron Hornaday going for 4 wins in succession here on the circuit. Be quite a show if he can pull it off. Of course, Boris said he is excited in the Federated Auto Parts Ford because Boris, as Larry told you, is a road racer converted to learning the oval courses. Now he's back on his home turf, so to speak, and he says it's nice coming to the track knowing that you have a realistic shot at winning.
Well, he comes in here with a lot of confidence. You know, he's run good all year. Just as we said in the opening, he has knocked on victory lane door, almost won the race at Texas, and now we're to say on his home turf, and he is carrying a lot of confidence coming into today's race.
There's the Team ASE Ford for Mike Bliss, with whom we're riding right now. And Bob Keselowski, the Mopar Performance Dodge, truck number 29, as they now make the turn with a slight elevation change. As you can see, there's not that much variation in elevation, but there is some. Who didn't make the race? Well, there's a list of those who failed to qualify and are on the way home. A lot of road racers: Michael Cohen, John Levy, Chris Horn, Randy Nelson, who tried and did debut in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race a weekend ago at Colorado National, failing to qualify today. There's the pace truck. It is called the Hornet, and that is a basic truck modified by the folks at Lund Industries. And if you're curious about the name of the race, and I know we explained it a year ago, but it's worthy of mention again, the Lund Look 275. Well, that is the look of a truck that is basically accessorized by Lund Industries. Hence the Lund Look to that Chevy truck. So now you know exactly what the name of the race means. Lund Look 275 kilometers. So we're about set to go racing. Let's quickly check in on pit lane for any last-minute updates. Glenn Jarrett.
Well, guys, Stacy Compton just brought his number 86 truck into the pits. He had a problem. There was something catching in the steering. And so they went to work on it, had the hood up. Put me on camera here. This is the screwdriver they were using to adjust that thing with. That may be the biggest screwdriver I've ever seen. I'm going to give it back to somebody who knows how to use it.
Troy Selberg and the fellas working there with Stacy Compton's truck. That was a major league piece of tool right there.
That definitely didn't look like a carburetor tuning screwdriver. He was doing some serious adjustment with that.
Underneath the drag racing bridge, now the field is on their final pace lap. They will circle right there out of turn 12 onto the NHRA drag strip, and that's a very critical point in the track because you go across the burnout area where John Force and Kenny Bernstein and Corey McClinathan and all those guys do their burnouts when the NHRA runs here, and that's a tough place to get a hold of the racetrack.
Well, you can just see the heat right there, and that track, that part of the track has so much rubber on it, it just becomes slick, and you can almost hear the wheels spin as they hit that part of the racetrack.
Chris Morgan from Santa Barbara, California, puts out the green flag, assisted by Butch Lehman, the president and CEO of American Specialty Equipment Corporation. He is our honorary starter today, and we are racing in the Lund Look 275, and here goes Hornaday, 16 truck, trying to grab the lead from Ruttman, couldn't do it.
They're down in the new part of the racetrack here. They'll make the left-hand turn right there. Joe Ruttman looking like he's getting a good bite up off the corner. Those three trucks right there, Eli, the 80, the 16, and the 3, that's the only trucks that's ever led a lap here at Topeka in the first 2 truck races.
Indeed so. And Joe Ruttman for only a single lap at that. This is the first of 81 laps. Most of the drivers say they will shift as many as 12 times a lap here.
And some of the corners are really slow here, Eli, and they'll even use first gear a lot, which is something that not many road course drivers use, for instance, at Watkins Glen or Sears Point, but these guys go all the way to first gear quite a bit.
Another one of the series of S's that leads you back to the Featherlight Trailers Bridge. Then you'll come beneath the bridge as we ride with the Keselowski right here. He follows Brian Refner. You'll then circle back as the point leader is in the wall. Coming off this final turn, you see Bickle right there to the right of your screen. There's Rich Bickle, the series point leader. Everybody goes by. And Rich Bickle obviously able to continue, but in only his 4th visit to a road circuit, Rich Bickle has problems on lap number 1. Let's take a closer look, Larry, at what happened coming off at turn 12.
This is coming off the last corner here. There he said just got sideways with him. I don't know, he might have got a little bit of help from the 55 truck, but just spun around. He went up and just barely nudged the tire wall. He was ready to go about the minute he stopped, but beginning of the race, everybody was stacked up so much there he couldn't get out on the racetrack.
So Rich is now back in 32nd position, just ahead of Lou Gelati and Stacy Compton. As we now go back up front, there's the spread, 1st to 2nd, Joe Ruttman and Ron Hornaday.
Both of these guys they've always run good on the road courses, no matter whether it's been in a truck or in a car. They've always had excellent performances on all of the road courses. There you heard Hornaday downshifting right there. Ruttman beats him up off the corner.
Again through turn number 12 in front of the main control tower. And then they'll swing right here back out onto the drag strip.
This goes from the slowest part of the racetrack to the fastest part. You're all the way in first gear up off that corner. You've got to go through 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. You can hear Hornaday shifting right there all the way up this long drag strip headed toward the left-hander turn 1.
They're now in the runoff area for the NHRA Winston Drag Racers, and here's where that road circuit begins. Then you don't take the first right here, but you do now take the 2nd. Straight ahead is the old track. Here is the first turn of that new section. Let's take a look at Mike Bliss's view of what happened to Bickle, see if he had help.
Looked like, yeah, he come down on the 55 truck right there maybe and just run out of room, and he got him in the left rear and kind of sent him spinning around. I'm not saying that was either truck's fault. It was just close racing in a tight part of the racetrack.
Dorsey Schrader, the Trans Am specialist in that number 55 truck for Tom Gloy Racing. Little damage there on the left front of Tammy Jo Kirk's truck.
These corners get so slow as you get into them. If somebody up front kind of checks up, they almost start stacking up against each other like you would in a heavy traffic jam.
Tammy Jo running in 24th position. She's been here before in the NASCAR Slim Jim All-Pro Series. Now riding with Bob Keselowski in 22nd. That's Kenny Irwin right behind him.
You hear here, Eli, that he just barely backed to the gas just for 2 or 3 seconds in this part of the S's of the racetrack, just enough to kind of lunge you before it's time to make the next corner.
So 3 laps are in the books now of 81 that make up the Lund Look 275. Joe Ruttman leads, and we're glad you're spending your Sunday with us here on TNN Motorsports. On for the lead, here goes Hornaday, and Ron Hornaday at lap number 5 will take over the top spot from Joe Ruttman in the Lund Look 275, and he would have made Kenny Bernstein proud. Used the drag strip the way he was supposed to.
He used the drag strip in some of the runoff area.
So Ron Hornaday will take the lead now at lap number 5. Ruttman right behind him there, the LCI truck running in second. Jay Sauter is the number 3 truck. He is in third. Mike Skinner in the 93 running in fourth, and Jack Sprague in the 24 running in fifth. Meanwhile, Tammy Jo Kirk made a stop moments ago. Glenn, I assume it was for that damage we saw on the left front. Glenn apparently checking on another story. We'll be getting back to him in just a moment or so. Tammy Jo did make a stop and then exceeded the speed limit on the pit lane, and now finds herself in 34th position, last on the field. Let's check in with Glenn again. We were talking about Tammy Jo Kirk's problems, Glenn.
Yeah, and I was trying to, Eli, but nobody could hear me. She brought the lovable bras truck in. I love to say that. She had that damage on the left front. It was caved in pretty good, but she came in too hot down on pit road. She's pitted way down toward the end of the, just as they start off on the front stretch here, she just came in too hot. They penalized her an additional 15 seconds. They got the damage fixed. No problems there. Also, Lou Gelati was penalized on the first lap. He had to come in for a stop and go penalty. He passed some trucks before he took the green flag.
So you're up to speed now as we work lap number 5 of 81. They have not only expanded the circuit, but they have added the number of laps to the event. Here's a good scramble there for second on back. Sprague in the 24 is fifth. Skinner now yielding the position. So that swaps around there under braking moments ago.
This is a good run for Jack Sprague. He's had a lot of problems here this weekend. He wrecked on Friday, had to go to a backup truck. Got into some oil on the front straightaway yesterday, got in the wall again, and then if that wasn't enough, at the end of the practice yesterday, he tore transmission up. So his guys have definitely worked hard this weekend, but he's up there running in the 5th position.
Butch Miller also went to a backup truck. There's Boris Said in the 44, the road racer, running in 7th spot, the Federated Auto Parts Ford. We're riding with Boris now. Lance Dorek making an unscheduled stop and going behind the wall moments ago. He was having trouble shifting as he came past our location moments ago. Transmission problems, and now Joe Ruttman pulls off the course. Joe Ruttman is coming off turn 12 and heading down the pit lane. So there he is, the man who led the first 4 laps, our pole sitter, makes an unscheduled stop. He has other company joining him on pit road as well. We'll see exactly what the problem is as the Roush crew goes to work.
You know what I think they're doing here, Eli?
I know what they're doing.
It's exactly. This first segment leading to halfway is 42 laps. There was a lot of trucks that didn't think they could make it. So what they're doing, they're taking advantage here, going ahead and topping this truck off early. If they get a caution and a lot of the trucks come in, Joe's full of fuel and he's back at the front of the field. That's his teammate, Chuck Bound, that has come in as well.
And the reason a lot of this is going on, Glenn, I guess, is because of what Sammy Shoemate, the crew chief, did yesterday in the All-Pro Series race, helping Steve Christian to an impressive win.
I got to feel like you're exactly right, Eli. These guys saw that, and they know that that's the best strategy on the road course. We talked about it yesterday. We're in Ron Hornaday's pit right now. He's coming in this lap for a gas and go. very same reason. If they can catch a caution, all the other guys got a pit behind them. They got track position, and that is so important. Can't tell you how important it is on a road course.
You folks also got a quick look at Tom Hubert seconds ago, doing a little agricultural racing.
Hornaday, he's on pit road.
Here he comes. He's on the pit lane now. You enter pit road before you even go beneath that Featherlight Bridge that you've been seeing. So the leader is now Jay Sauter, who'll take over the top spot.
And you know, again, for the fans at home, I'm sure you're wondering, gosh, they've only run 6 or 7 laps of this race. Why are they already pitting for fuel? And I just want to iterate, the first segment's 42 laps. They don't think they could go the distance, so they're going to come in early, get those trucks topped off of fuel. The only downside to this is if there's some trucks that can go the distance, then you're way behind those trucks.
Well, we'll all find out together as we're still early in this event. 7 laps are complete. Jay Sauter is now the new leader. Right there, your first and second place trucks. Jack Sprague right behind.
Men.
93, Mike Skinner. 24, Jack Sprague. That change just took place on the racetrack when Jay Sauter pitted at lap number 7. Jack Sprague inherited the lead. Then out on the course itself in turn number 7, Skinner made the move around Jack Sprague. So it's Skinner, Sprague, Boris Said, Ron Fellows, and Rick Crawford. Over the last number of moments, we have seen pit stops for Mike Bliss. We told you Sauter, Bill Sedgwick has been in, Kenny Irwin has been in. Others making their pit stops now. Mike Wallace has stopped for fuel. Again, all of this to try and work race strategy in your favor as Boris Said tries to grab a piece of second.
This is over in the turn 8 and 9 area, what we call the Gator Pit. As they come off the corner there, looks like Boris has the line.
Just out drags him into the corner. So swap things around right there. Boris in second. Oh, you see that?
Yeah, I think that's some brake smoke. Jack really getting on those brakes hard. And, you know, if you do that too many times, it could flat spot those tires. And these tires have got to go a long way. You're seeing a lot of it every corner. I saw it earlier, I thought. So I don't know if he's got a brake problem, but he sure is smoking them quite a bit.
If he doesn't now, he may well shortly. Ron Fellows is right behind him. Glenn Jarrett, a lot of interesting pit strategy.
Yeah, there is, Eli, and you can see the shifter here. When Jay Sauter came in, you see they've got the knob off the end of it. They had to take it off. The one in the truck came off. He's having to use his hand on top of this to shift. That is not comfortable. Gas and go for him. Ron Hornaday, when he came in a while ago, they only put 5 seconds worth of fuel in the truck. However, he stalled the truck trying to get out of the pit, so it turned into a 10 second. Here's the smartest guy down here right now. Look at this guy. He's right in front of the fan. Also, you mentioned Lance Norris was having problems shifting. He has lost 3rd gear in his truck, and they're trying to repair that.
So transmission problems there, and that really typifies the weekend. The heat here in Topeka has been unbearable. The temperatures have been in 100, 101, 102, 103 degrees. Today they were saying it's only going to be 100, and with the humidity down just a tick, it'll only feel like 105. The heat index the last few days has been 112, 114. It has not been terribly pleasant at times.
That's probably about 130 or 40 degrees inside those race trucks right there, and probably about 20 more degrees hotter on the racetrack itself.
The folks from Napa bringing you the field standings here today. At Napa, we keep America running, and they've got that banner across the top of the screen to let you know where your favorites are. You see Boris Said in second, and there is Boris right now as he makes that swing around in front of the main control tower for the NHRA drag racing through the burnout area. He has lane choice. He's just going to go right down the middle and take a little bit each.
You know, some of these guys felt like they could make it the distance on fuel, but they needed a few caution laps to do that. And so far, we've been caution-free after 11 laps. So you almost wonder, these guys making the commitment to go this long on fuel and not stopping early, they maybe have already committed themselves to try to go the distance.
Again, this race is run in 2 halves, remember. There is a Gatorade Front Runner Award at the end of the first half of $1,000.
Rick Crawford is getting a little crossed up there, getting in the corner.
First time here in a truck. Crawford was here last year in the NASCAR Slim Jim All-Pro Series race. As a matter of fact, in this weekend a year ago, he was the point leader in the All-Pro Series.
Jack Sprague really getting up on those rumple strips and stirring up the dust. Hadn't seen any more brake smoke here the last few corners, so maybe he realized he needed to slow down just a little bit and quit in them corners so hard.
Over the rumble strips for some. Now behind them, you see, you've got different styles. You had Ron Fellows in the 48, the road racer, who avoids the rumble strips. Now he goes off towards pit road.
Rick Crawford as well entering pit road.
So these guys are on the pit lane. Fellows who compete. Oh, and
Jack
Sprague is off the course.
racetrack.
As he swung out onto the drag strip, Jack just missed, and he's going to take a side entrance onto pit road. So Jack Sprague right there. You unfortunately didn't see what happened, and maybe we'll be able to take a look.
He's got
shortly.
a flat tire. That's the reason he had to find him away on the pit road, and
right
that was
front.
pretty quick thinking there, because looks like somebody just forgot to put the concrete barrier there today.
He found an opening and went right down the pit lane.
And they'll only be able to change that one tire there, because they only have one other set of tires. But if a tire's flat like that right front, then you can come in and change that tire, and he's away. But he's going to lose a lot of ground here.
If you just come in and change tires because you want to, then it's a 5-lap penalty per tire change. You say, hey, our tires aren't working, I want 4 newies. Well, God bless you, but you're 20 laps down. You know, so that's how it works in this series. Back up front, you're running with second place Boris Said. Right ahead of him, that red truck. That is Mike Skinner. Skinner earned 8 wins in the series in 1995 as the series champion.
A little bit of brake smoke out of Mike's truck there. This is only Mike's second truck race this year. He run earlier at Homestead, and he's going to also be in a truck next week at Raceway Park. A little bit of weaving coming down the drag strip there. Almost looks like looking down the straightaway at Pocono.
Sure does. And you see again the heat just radiating up off the ground here.
Mike told me that they was pulling a little bit higher rear end gear than maybe some of the other trucks, and you know, a little bit higher gear can help the fuel mileage just a little bit, and in the case of almost being able to make it, just a little bit could mean a lot here.
Mike Skinner welcoming himself back to the series. Everybody happy to see him. But it was interesting. I asked him after a taste of Winston Cup, what's it like coming back to race the trucks here this weekend?
Well, I think he comes here, you know, and there's not a lot of pressure.
Well, he won Tucson, Arizona. He won Colorado. He wins in Kansas. 3 in a row for Mike Skinner.
I really enjoyed the trucks, and I'm not through truck racing. I'm going to race trucks some more. I've got a son that I'm trying to move up into the truck ranks, and I miss the guys over there. So when we get an opportunity to go back and race with them, it's fun. And going over there and not being in a point situation is going to be even fun.
Thoughts of Mike Skinner, who is here this weekend, driving truck number 93. That's the same Lumar Windows Chevy truck that he drove to Homestead's 4th place finish back in March. That's Dana Dorman's bunch who built that truck. Kevin Hamlin is here as crew chief for the weekend. Barry Owen also here. They've got the team based out of Barry's shops up there in the Carolinas. Just ahead now, that's Rob Morgan in the 65 truck. Rob is a noted road racer, making a venture here. His dad, Charles Morgan, you might know the name if you have followed IMSA racing, or professional sports car as they now call the circuit. They've run together successfully at the Rolex 24, the 24 Hours of Daytona, but goes a lap down here in a very unusual vehicle for Rob Morgan to be driving in. Just going to be a bit of a learning curve. We are 14 laps complete. 81 making up the distance. Mike Skinner took the lead at lap number 9.
Dodge Stratus.
There is the computer address, www.country.com. ExperienceCountry.com. It's your personal source for all things country, from race cars to country stars. Connect to country.com. If you were online, you'd know that Boris Said is now the race leader. Mike Skinner electing to pit at lap number 15. Oh, and we've got problems here on the main straightaway. Caution is on the speedway. Bill Sedgwick with some fire beneath the left rear of his truck. And they have just put an all-course caution out, as you see Chris Morgan waving that caution flag. Sedgwick just came out of turn 12, and all of a sudden left rear of the truck began to erupt in a blaze of flame. It very quickly extinguished itself, although Sedgwick's truck has left a trail of fluid behind it, and clearly you can see Bill is just fine. But a scary moment. He just came out of turn 12, and big old flames shot from behind the Sedgwick truck. Let's see if we can see exactly what happened. He was just minding his own business, best we could tell. He goes wide.
Come off the last corner there, and you don't really see what the problem was.
The flame is on the left rear, shooting out that side. You can see where the smoke is, obviously.
As much liquid is put down, you almost think that maybe an oil tank got busted or something like that, because turn 12 in the last corner is just full of oil. A lot of liquid put down there. Now, this caution is not good for Boris Said. By my calculations, he's one of the few leaders, or the only leader, that had not pitted. Mike Skinner just had pitted. They kept Mike in the pits an awfully long time, about 10 to 11 seconds, and I don't know that they needed to hold him that long compared to Ron Hornaday for about 5 seconds. But now the question is, can these caution laps buy Boris the laps he needs to not stop for fuel? Because if he stops, he's going to be deep in the field here on lap 17.
So caution on the speedway, a full course caution for the very first time. And now it's time to take a look at this week's Dodge Innovation in Motion and see how Jimmy Hensley deals with the heat here in Topeka, Kansas.
When the truck teams come to Heartland Park in the middle of July, we face some of the hottest weather we face any time during the year. One of the primary considerations for all the teams, how to keep the driver cool. Dodge driver Jimmy Hensley's crew has come up with a very innovative idea, a way to keep him cool. Jimmy, tell us about it.
Well, this 102-degree heat's kind of got us concerned, you know, for the race Sunday, Glenn. What we're doing, we're taking the outside air, which is, you know, 102 degrees plus, take it through a fan, reduce it down into a smaller hose, go through a cooler with a coil in the bottom, which is filled with ice. That cools the air. The smaller hose comes out of the other side, goes into my helmet, and gives me a lot cooler air, and therefore should make my performance better.
As I said, one of the primary considerations is keep that driver cool. Take a look right here. This is a spare cooler that they built, a backup cooler. The air is forced through these pipes in here. This is all filled with ice and cold water. Simply blows cool air in. Jimmy keeps him as cool-headed as long as possible.
And that's how they deal with the heat here in Topeka. You see Bill Sedgwick still looking to see what's amiss with the truck, as Boris Said leads under caution.
Want to get
Opryland USA in Nashville, Tennessee. Want to take the family? It's a great trip. Give that phone number a call, 615-889-6611. They'll answer your questions Monday through Friday. And while you've got a chance, you might want to race into the all-new and official stores.